Good morning. During last week's video, we went over a new side control. This week, right now, I did some rolls, and now we're going to go over the rolling footage where I tested it out. That way we can do some problem solving, because chances are you're going to see the same thing when you're doing this. All right, we have about 30 minutes before I have to run over to Pedro's. So let's get into it. All right, first testing this on Peter. Peter is a blue belt. So here is the side control. Now I'm focused on using my forearm to frame against the neck, and I'm focused on getting the underhook of his far arm right here, but he's doing a good job of keeping his elbow tight. I'm trying to keep my weight back, and here we're discussing, I was like, hey, I'm trying this new side control. He's like, yeah, he noticed the forearm in his neck. Now here he does a very good job of bridging one way and then bridging the other, and look what just happened here. The failure points are so interesting. So I'm tight here to his body, there's little space, and then when he goes on the other side, I put weight into my forearm to flatten him out, but the weight in my forearm created space on my backside. All right, here's another round from the same day. All right, forearm in the neck. Now I need to switch to my knees. And I need to keep my weight more back. Do you see how my butt is up? I need to sit back and get more weight backward. It's like what you feel like you're doing isn't sometimes what you're actually doing. So here, do you see how I use my knee to slide on the inside of his armpit? And typically I'll just go over to mount, but because I'm trying to work on this, I want to stay here as long as possible. That way I can figure out the failure points. Oh, here we go. So I knee slide over to pin that. This is the side control right here, because when you have your shin stapling their leg like that, it feels like they can get to side to half guard, but it's a false promise. So I'm doing a good job of keeping my weight back, which means a small distance between my heel and my butt. If I were to bring my weight forward, the distance between my heel and my butt would be larger. So that's what we mean by sitting back. And he captured my leg. Anytime that my legs get light, that's when the leg capturing happens. So we're back. We're back in side control. And I decide to move the action a little closer to the camera. Okay, he's getting on his side, and I switched the forearm to get him back flat. I think that is good because, oh, I just crossed my legs on his leg. See how he's trying to step over? That's why the leg crossing helps. at the ankles because you close any gaps and they can't get their leg in to get to half guard. So they feel like when on the receiving end of this, because I've definitely been on the receiving end of this if you look at last week's video, it feels like when you're on the bottom and you think you're doing something right, but then you get negative reinforcement for the right move, it definitely starts messing with you. So that's the beauty of this side control, is to any onlooker, even to any onlooker, but especially when you're on the receiving end of it, it feels like you can get to half guard from the bottom of side control, but with this specific side control and the leg stapling, it's not there. So here I went over to mount because, you know, it was open. All right, let's do some more testing. Here we did more of a positional type thing where, you know, I was like, hey, can I practice this side control? That way I didn't have to waste any time getting to side control. See, so he's getting onto his side and creating space. Now I need to flatten him and I need to get my knee over. So my knee is over stapling, but I'm not putting any weight on it, because it feels like when they get to their side, it feels like you need to like drive into them in order to get their back flat. But I think I'm going from there's a couple of vectors. It's like if they're rolling up, you can go this vector to flatten them, or sometimes what I do is I kind of go from this vector to try to flatten them. So I need to get more horizontal to the ground to flatten them this way instead of going up and coming down at an angle. I'm so used to tripod pressure passing that my body likes to get into that tripod position to drive down. But with this side control, it requires more of a like wrestling type flattening. If you've ever done wrestling before, they like to basically like drive with their hips to get you flattened. And the position of my right knee is good because if I can get under that leg, then it pushes their legs away from me, and that helps to preserve the position. Here we're just working through, kind of like it's nice when you do something positionally and you can get feedback from your partner of like, you know, I wanted to get a really good position where all of my weight was back, and then have them go from there just to see what they could do. So it seems like when he's able to get on his hip like that, and he's able to put his butt back and hip out, then he's able to roll onto his knees, which is fine because, you know, I have game. If you watch this channel, you know that there's game from the turtle position. Like crucifix is fine by me, but it's almost like, what level do you want to be at what position? Like I'm working to get, it's always good to get skill and to work the position so that you can make each thing as good as possible. So here, it's like, in order to maintain side control, flattening them out is optimal. Like, you want to have both shoulders to the mat. So here I'm playing between the forearm frame in the neck and the crossface. And see this, I really like this here that I figured out right here, which is to have the forearm in the neck and then to use the forearm to have them look away. So it's like the forearm in the neck is acting like a crossface, because then they can't turn into you if you are making them look away. Yeah, I really like that. I think the key thing is to get that bottom forearm to the ground. I mean, to get the far shoulder to the ground to flatten them. Getting the forearm and making them look away, using the forearm frame in the neck, was a lot more powerful than switching to underneath the head and using my shoulder as a crossface. Because I found if I use the crossface, I ended up reaching too far over their shoulder, and then that reaching my torso over their shoulder creates less weight on my legs, which leaves them light. Like, there should be a super big focus on pinning that leg and getting as much weight into it as possible, or else that leaves you light. And that's how, you know, the previous roll that we just saw, that's how he got side control, is because the legs got light. So it's like heavy leg, heavy leg. And then, of course, the step over when you see that knee. All right, so this was super interesting. It's always cool to develop new game. I find, you know, in the beginning you find your A game and you figure out what really works for you. It's interesting when you get like more skills, it's like your body wants to do the game that you know works. And it's just interesting to like retrain my body to do something different, and to figure out how to make it work. I mean, that's the name of the game. It's like you learn something new, you retrain your body, you take it on the mat, you test it, you look at the failures, you figure out what happened at that point, and then you make like a small correction. You go in, you test that, you go in, you test that. So the corrections that I want to make, it's like I already know that my weight needs to be back. The issue that I saw was when they get on their shoulder and I try to flatten them back out, that continuously makes my leg light so that the staple isn't as effective. But I did find that using the forearm on the neck and then getting my forearm under their chin to like look away, that makes their whole body look away. So then my legs can still remain heavy. And then the cross-body twist is extremely uncomfortable. So then typically they want to get their leg out, that way their head and their legs can look the same way. So yeah, that's that's what we got, folks. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. And I am gonna go do some judo, and yeah, finish editing this video when I get back. So happy Saturday. It's probably, I don't know what day it is when you're watching this, but yeah. So, did you hear that? All right, I'm gonna go investigate this noise in my house. We'll see you next week.
What's up with these new niggas? Why they think it all comes so easy? But get it while you here, boy. Cause all that hype don't feel the same next year, boy. Yeah. And I'll be right here in my spot with a little more cash than I already got. Tripping off you cause you had no shot. With my skin tan and my hair long and my